Hello friends, welcome back to today's class. So in the previous lecture we have already seen our various things like what are the uses of this try and catch, how could we use this try and catch. All those things have been covered in the previous lecture. So in continuation with the previous lecture, today we will try to understand what actually is this displaying a description of an exception. That is, how could we display a description for an exception. Okay. So what happens usually, friends, is throwable. Whenever we speak of throwable, it tries to override the toString method. Why it tries to override the toString method? Because it tries to return a string wherein it would be containing the description of the exception. Okay. And always remember, friends, whenever this throwable or tries to override the toString method, this toString method is defined by the object. It is always defined by the object, and using this object itself, this override tries to this throwable tries to override the toString method. So whenever we try to do this, we will be displaying this description in a print statement. Using the print statement, we try to display this by passing the exception as an argument. So we try to pass the exception as an argument inside the print statement, and then we try to get the exception printed. Okay. So usually that means in short, the summary we can tell that we try to define our exception, we try to print our exception using the println statement. Okay. And how do you print it? It usually happens whenever your throwable tries to override the toString method. Okay. So to understand much in detail, we'll try to see an example. So here in this example, the catch block, whatever has been written here, whatever we wrote at the catch block in this in the previous class, the same has been rewritten here. Okay. So if you can go through the program here, see here, catch followed by you have, so what this catch statement is doing, it is catching an arithmetic exception. So after catching the arithmetic exception, we are printing that arithmetic exception with the help of the println line. Okay. So in this version is substituted in the program, and when the program is run, each divided by 0 error will display the following message. Whatever the message you can see here, this message will be printed. Okay. So it is of no particular value in this context, but the ability to display a description of an exception is valuable. In other circumstances, it becomes very particular that when you are experimenting with exceptions or when you are debugging. So whenever I want to debug anything, so this comes in very handy, and using this we'll be trying to write a description of an exception. Okay. So I hope in summary it is nothing but you will be trying to print your exception with the help of the println line. Okay. So moving ahead, the next very important topic we will be trying to say is about your multiple catch clauses. So there might be a condition which would arise when we would be having multiple catch clauses. That is, we might get n number of catch things. Okay. So especially in some of the cases when there are more than one exceptions which are raised by a single piece of code. So to handle such exceptions, you need to specify two or more catch clauses, each with a different type of exception. That is very important thing. So whenever there are n number of exceptions, or whenever there are more than one exception, we need to specify two or more catch clauses, and each catch will be for a different type of exception. Okay. Now next very important thing, after one catch statement executes, the others are bypassed and the execution continues after the try catch block. So what it means now, after every catch statement executes, the others are bypassed. Okay. And the execution continues after the try and catch block. So whenever an exception is thrown, each catch statement is inspected. Say there is an exception, the catch statement is inspected in whatever order they come. Like the first which comes, that will be inspected. The next which comes, that will be inspected. That means they should match with the exception which is being executed. Okay, so to understand in much detail, let us see this following example. So here what happens is it tries to trap two types of different exceptions. Okay, so let us try to see the program. See here, it has a class. The name of the class is multi-catch. Then you have defined your main function. As you can see here, this is the main function with your string arguments. Then you can observe here, friends, we have a try. That means what now? We are expecting that there might be an error in this block of code which is there with the flower braces. So whenever we suspect any error, then we put that inside the flower braces. Okay. Next, here we have taken a variable a and it has been set to the length function. Okay. Next, we'll try to print this a. Fine. This is the printing statement which would print this a. After that, we will be trying to divide the value 42 by a. Okay. Next thing, please concentrate, very important. One very important thing I would like to tell you that whenever this args.length has been defined, it initially will be 0. This value will be initially 0. So when we say this value is 0, it means that I hope you are getting the first exception right now itself. That is what now we are dividing 42 by a. What is the initial value of a? I told you when we use args.length, it is 0. That means the value of a is what now? It is 0. So that means what we are doing? We are dividing 42 by 0. So when we divide 42 by 0, I hope you understood, you will be getting an error. That's the first thing. Next, we'll move ahead. Next, say this, we have defined an array whose size is 1. Okay, or you can say it takes value 1. Okay. Next, we are passing a value 42. Okay, we are passing a value 42 and we are passing 9. But what is the size of this? It is just 1. Okay, so that means for sure we are expecting errors here. We are expecting errors. We are expecting multiple errors. You can say not only one error. We are expecting multiple errors. Okay, like see the latest. So if I want to catch these errors, if I want to identify these errors, we need to use this catch statement. Okay. Now catch. The first statement is what now? It will be trying to catch an arithmetic exception. It will try to catch an arithmetic exception. And what type of arithmetic exception it is trying to catch? It is trying to catch the divide by 0 arithmetic exception. Okay. And where is this exception occurring, friends? It is occurring here. See here in this line. In this line, that is int b is equal to 42 divided by a. Okay. Next catch statements. What is the next catch statement we are having now? The next catch statement we are having here is, as we spoke, this empty array is having a size of 1. That means it can take value which is only 1. But what is this value now? It's a 2-digit. It is 2-digit. That means what is happening here? It can store only 1-digit values, but we are passing 2-digit values. That means for sure we are expected to get an error. What is the type of error, friends? It is array index out of bounds. Out of bounds means what now? We are defining a bound means boundary. We are defining a boundary of, that is, it can accept only one size, but we are passing more than that. So that's why it will put an error saying that the array index is out of bound. Okay. Next, we'll print a line. We'll print a line saying that this is our error. Okay. And finally, we'll print another line. Say after try and catch blocks, the rest of the execution continues. Okay. So to tell you in short, friends, this program will cause a divide by 0 exception, right? Okay. Now, when it will cause a divide by 0 exception? Only when if it is started with a no command line argument. That is, the a will be equal to 0. Okay. Now, it may survive this division if you provide a by command line argument. Okay. So whenever you use command line argument, that is your CMD, then you can avoid this error. The first error. What is that first error? That is a is equal to args length. We told that it is taking a 0. But if you provide it with a command line, we can overcome this error. That is the first solution. Next is what now? setting a to something larger than 0. We have set a something larger than 0. If that happens, it will cause the next error, which is nothing but out of bounds exception. Why it is causing this error? As I already told you that the array size of C is only 1. And what is the value you are assigning to C? You are assigning 42. So that is the reason you will be getting your error. Okay. So anyways, you try to run this program, for sure you are trying to get any one of the errors. What could be those errors? See here, these are the sample errors. So when you write it, when you run it through one of the methods, that is using your command, here we are not using any command line argument, that is cmd is not being used. In that case, the value of a, what it has taken? 0. So if the value of a is 0, that means it becomes 42 divided by 0. Thereby the answer thereby the error or the exception you are getting is what now? Exception divided by 0. And as usual, this line will print because it is nowhere concerned with the try and catch. So after the try and catch, even if there are 10 tries and catches, after that the last printing line will print invariably without any problem. Okay. Next, if I pass a value, using your test argument, that is a is equal to 1, then also it will cause an error. Then it will cause, that means what now? It will cause the next error, which is index arrays out of bounds. Okay. Now why this will cause? Because it has bypassed this error. It has bypassed this problem and it has reached here. That means what now, friends? If I first only get a problem here, then it will not check for this exception. It will come out and directly print this line, that is after try and catch blocks. I hope you are getting it. If a first error itself is caught, it will directly print what is that error, and it will come out of the rest of the executions and it will go ahead with the normal execution. So that's why we have printed here what? After catch and try and catch blocks. Okay. And if somehow using your command line argument or using some, if you are passing some correct value, that is say like a is equal to 1, 2 or something like that, using command line argument, if you pass this, then it will bypass this error. It will bypass this catch statement. Why? Because it will not occur only because we are dividing 42 by 1. Then it will come to here, it will take the value of C. But what is the value of C we are passing here, friends? 42. So when we pass 42, it becomes out of bound. Therefore, you can see that we are getting an error. Okay. So this is how your multiple catch clauses will work. Okay. So this is the first thing. See here. So whenever a catch statement that uses a superclass will catch the exceptions that type plus any of its subclass. That means what now? If there is any superclass and if there is any subclass, then a subclass will be, then a catch will be catching the errors of that subclass as well. So that means what now? A subclass would never be reached if it came after its superclass. Okay. So therefore, we may say that Java unreachable code is also an error. So this also could be an error. So this program is trying to show us that, like you can see here, it is so one very important thing here is that exception subclass must come before any of their superclass. If there is any superclass, then this exception should come before that. Then only it will be executing. Okay. So whatever the program we will be seeing right now here, it will cause us an error. It is causing us an error. Okay. So let us try to understand this program now. A subclass must come before its superclass in the series of catch statements. That means if I have a subclass, then it should always come before the superclass whenever you go on writing your series of catch statements. If not, the unreachable code will be created and a compile time error will result. That is what is happening here. So if we can see this program, try to understand this program here, friends. Let us try to see. So here there is a class whose name is super subcatch. Then we have called the main program. Then we have a try statement. We have put the value of a is equal to 0. So b is equal to 42 by a means what now? The value of a is 0. Thereby you will be getting an error. And you have a catch statement which will say there is a generic catch statement, generic exception catch. Okay. Now what would happen here? Please see here. Please see here. So this catch is printing something else, but what is the error we are getting here? We are getting 42 divided by 0. Okay, so once this catch has reached, which is nowhere concerned to this, then this catch, you please have a look at this catch here. This catch is relating to your arithmetic exception, but this will never be reached. Okay, now if you try to compile this program, you will get an error stating that the second catch statement is unreachable. Why it is unreachable? Because the exception has already been caught. That is, you can see here the first try and the first try, then the first catch. It's executed, so it's over. It will not go ahead and check for the next catch. Okay, but since arithmetic exception is a subclass of exception, the first catch statement will handle all the exception based errors, also including your arithmetic exception. So therefore, this means that the second catch statements will never execute. Okay, now how could we fix this problem? How could we avoid this problem? Very simple. Just reverse these catch statements. First you write this catch statement, then you write this catch statement. Then you can easily avoid this error. Okay, so I hope this is clear with respect to your multiple catch clauses. Okay, so if you have any error, you can always contact me. Thank you. We will again shortly meet in the next video, wherein we will discuss our nested try statement.